You know what's interesting? Some of the most careful, strategic, and seemingly mature people with money did not learn that from books, spreadsheets, or traditional financial education. They learned it because, at some point in life, they had to. Think of it like this. Imagine a child, maybe 8 or 9 years old. They're not thinking about interest rates or investment portfolios. They're listening. They're in their room, and through the thin wall, they hear the low, tense murmur of adult voices in the kitchen. The conversation isn't loud, but its weight is. It's about a bill, a repair that can't be put off, a number that doesn't match another number. The child doesn't understand the specifics, but they understand the silence that follows. They understand the way their parent's voice sounds tired, not from a long day, but from a long worry. They feel the shift in the air of the house before anyone says a word. The air becomes heavier, like the quiet before a storm that only the adults can see coming. That child learns to read the weather. They notice the way a parent stares at an envelope before opening it. They notice the postponed trip to the store. The phrase, "not right now," said with a particular tightness around the eyes. They learn that money isn't just coins in a jar. It's a current that runs beneath everything. It determines the mood at the dinner table. It decides if a birthday feels like a celebration or a secret burden. Security isn't a given. It's something that can quietly drain away, like water through cracked fingers. This isn't about poverty, necessarily. It's about instability. It's about the palpable sense that the ground beneath your feet, the financial ground, has a tendency to tremble. And when you grow up on land that trembles, you become an expert in detecting the first faint vibrations. Long before the earthquake hits, you feel it. You see the tiny cracks others miss. So, what looks like extraordinary foresight in an adult, noticing a risky business move, sensing a budget is about to break, feeling uneasy about an investment that seems too good, often isn't a skill they studied. It's a sense they developed, a survival sense. Their mind was trained too early to link financial missteps with emotional consequences. A bad decision didn't just mean a loss on paper. It meant tension, fear, silence, a mother's worried face, a father's distant stare. Money became more than currency. It became the keeper of peace, the guardian of a fragile calm. That's where this form of intelligence begins. Not in a lecture hall, but in the quiet, watchful moments of a childhood where you had to be alert. You learned that relaxing, truly relaxing about money, could feel like a dangerous thing to do. If you've ever felt this, if any part of this story resonates with you, you're not alone in this. Consider sharing a thought in the comments below. Sometimes just naming this experience is the first step. And if you're finding this perspective valuable, staying with this channel means we can explore it further, together. This intelligence has a name. It's not in the finance textbooks. It's born from emotional necessity. It's a deep, often silent adaptation, and it shows up in very specific ways in how you move through the world today. What often gets labeled as being good with money or a control freak or overly cautious might be something else entirely. It might be the signs of a mind that learned to protect itself, long before it ever balanced a checkbook. We're going to look at 10 of these signs, not as flaws, but as features of a particular kind of financial mind. A mind that sees the shadows on the wall because it learned long ago what casts them. The first sign is this. You notice signs of financial instability before everyone else. It's not a conscious choice. It's a reflex. You walk into a friend's new apartment, and while everyone admires the view, a part of your mind is quietly, involuntarily doing math. The rent versus the job they just started. The new car in another friend's driveway doesn't impress you. It triggers a silent question. How? You hear a colleague talk about a lavish vacation with a casual wave of the hand, and you don't feel envy. You feel a subtle, internal ping, a discrepancy between the story and what you sense beneath it. This isn't judgment, it's perception. Your mind is a finely tuned sensor for risk, for excess, for the faint scent of something off balance. You see the tiny cracks in the foundation long before the wall shows any sign of leaning. Because in that environment where you grew up, the cracks always came first. The worried whisper was the warning. The postponed purchase was the symptom. You learned that problems don't arrive with a bang. They creep in on quiet feet. So now, you're always listening for the creak on the stair. This leads directly to the second sign. You feel the need to predict everything financially. Your mind does not relax easily. It wants to calculate, to anticipate, to organize. You don't just plan for next month, you run scenarios. If the car breaks down, then X. If I lose this client, then Y. If the market drops, then Z. It's a constant mental simulation, a chess game you play against an invisible opponent named What If. For you, A budget isn't just a spreadsheet. It's a map of safe territory. It shows you where the landmines are. Without it, you feel disoriented, exposed. This need to predict isn't about being rigid. It's about creating a sense of control in a world that once felt uncontrollable. You are building a forecast so you are never, ever caught off guard like you might have been before. The goal is to eliminate the surprise, because in your history, surprises were rarely good. Then comes the third sign, which might seem contradictory. In moments of actual financial crisis, you become calmer than usual. When the pressure mounts, when others start to panic, when the air gets that old, familiar, heavy feeling, something in you clicks into place. The anxiety that hums in the background suddenly has a job. It converts into focus. It's like a pilot entering a storm. The chatter stops. The hands move with purpose. Your emotions distance themselves, and a cold, clear logic takes over. You start thinking in terms of solutions, steps, triage. What is the most immediate fire? What can be saved? What action? Right now. While others are frozen by the fear of the problem, you are already analyzing its shape, looking for edges you can grip. This calm isn't the absence of fear. It's the activation of an old, deep-seated protocol. Your mind is saying, I know this place, I have a map for this. It's the calm of a survival mechanism kicking in. These three signs form a cycle. The hyper-vigilance that spots the threat, the compulsive planning that tries to ward it off, and the strategic calm that manages it when it arrives. It's a full-time internal security system, and it runs not because you want it to, but because at some point it had to. You learned that financial safety wasn't a given. It was a condition you had to monitor and maintain constantly. Your intelligence became your early warning system. The fourth sign moves the focus outward. You think deeply about other people's financial behavior. You don't just see a purchase, you see a story. You observe how a person spends, how they hide their spending, how they boast about a deal, or how they quickly change the subject when money comes up. You watch the way someone's voice tightens when discussing a salary, or the way they perform generosity in a way that feels slightly forced. You're not being nosy, you're being analytical. You're trying to decipher the code, because you learned early on that what people say about money and what they truly feel about it are often two different languages. In your home, the real conversation about money might have happened in sighs, in postponed plans, in a parent working late yet again. So now you listen to the silence as much as the words. You try to understand the why behind the financial choices people make. Is it fear? Is it status? Is it compensation for something else? You've become a quiet psychologist of finance because understanding the motive feels like a way to predict the next move, to stay safe in a world of hidden currents. This observation often leads to the fifth sign. Your own relationship with money looks like strength, but it was born from adaptation. Your control, your awareness, your ability to delay gratification, these are praised as virtues, and they are. But for you, they are also something more primal. They are defenses. You didn't develop this discipline in a vacuum. You developed it in response to something. The control is a wall you built because you saw what happened when walls were thin or missing. The awareness is a watchtower you occupy because you needed to see danger coming from far away. Your financial maturity is real, but its roots are not just in wisdom. They are, in part, in wounding. It's an intelligence forged in the need to protect yourself from chaos, from scarcity, from that heavy, silent anxiety. This isn't to diminish your strength. It's to understand its origin. It's a strength that carries the memory of why it had to become strong. Which brings us to the sixth sign, a direct result of that protective stance. You have a very strong sense of financial self-reliance, depending on others, asking for help, being financially in someone else's hands. These ideas can cause a deep, almost physical discomfort. The thought of it might tighten your chest. It's not about pride, not really. It's about safety. If your security was ever tied to someone else's unstable situation, you learned a hard lesson. External sources can fail, promises can break, help can come with unspoken strings, or it can vanish when you need it most. So you internalized a rule. The only true safety is the safety you build yourself. The only account you can truly trust is the one you control. The only promises you fully rely on are the ones you make to yourself. Your independence is your fortress. And while it keeps danger out, it can also at times make it difficult to let anyone else in, even when they mean no harm. The drawbridge stays up because you know in your bones what it felt like when the walls were down. The seventh sign is one of the most intimate. You feel guilt or tension when spending on yourself. This isn't about being frugal out of necessity. This happens even when you can afford it. You look at the price of a nice dinner, a new piece of clothing, a weekend trip, and an internal calculation begins that has nothing to do with your bank balance. A voice, quiet but persistent, asks, "Is this necessary? Is this responsible? What if I need this money later?" Spending on pure pleasure, without a practical, justifiable reason, can feel irresponsible, dangerous even. It can feel like you're poking a hole in the hull of your own carefully built boat. There's an emotional friction there. This guilt isn't logical, it's historical. It's tied to memories, perhaps, of seeing a parent feel guilty for a small indulgence, or of understanding that money spent on joy was money taken from the serious pile. The pile for bills, for safety, for keeping the worry at bay. So now, your spending is often tied to a function. It's for groceries, for utilities, for a reliable car. But spending just for the feeling of joy? That requires permission you often don't grant yourself. It feels like lowering your guard, like betraying that vigilant, protective part of you that's always on duty. This guardedness extends to the 8th sign. You are slow to trust. Financially. Easy promises, quick financial advice, can't miss opportunities, or people who speak about money with too much certainty. They trigger an internal alarm immediately. Your skepticism isn't cynicism, it's a filter. A survival filter. You've likely seen or felt the consequences of trust misplaced. Perhaps it was a broken promise, a scheme that failed, or simply the realization that the adults in your life didn't have all the answers they seemed to, so you developed a second layer of thinking. When someone offers a simple, glowing financial solution, your mind doesn't see the glow. It looks for the wiring. It asks the quiet questions. What's the catch? What aren't they saying? What could go wrong? You trust data, you trust contracts, you trust slow, proven results. You do not trust enthusiasm. That filter has probably saved you from real trouble, but it also means you stand a few steps back from the crowd, always watching, always verifying. Trust is not given. It's earned, in small increments, over a long period of time. And even then, a part of you holds a reserve. This leads to the 9th sign, a profound exhaustion of the spirit. You have a difficult relationship with rest when money is involved. Even in stable phases, even when the numbers are good, relaxing can feel premature, unwise, as if by celebrating, by lowering your guard, you might summon the very instability you've worked so hard to keep away. It's the feeling that you don't deserve to rest until the work is completely, irrevocably done. But the work of financial safety, in a mind trained like yours, is never done. There's always another what-if to plan for, another buffer to build. Taking a foot off the gas, even for a moment, feels like rolling backwards down a hill you've climbed for years. So you might achieve a goal, a savings target, a debt paid off, and instead of feeling relief, you feel a quiet urgency to set the next goal. The finish line keeps moving. The mind that learned to associate rest with vulnerability struggles to learn a new association. That rest can also be a form of strength, a necessary recharge. But unlearning that old lesson is one of the hardest parts of this entire journey. The 10th sign is the one that ties all the others together. It's the quietest and often the deepest. You carry a need to make sense of your money story. It's not just about wanting to earn more or get more organized. Those are surface goals. Beneath them is a different question. Why is my mind like this? You want to understand the origins of your vigilance, your control, your unease. You want to know why a spreadsheet can feel like a security blanket, and why a surprise bill can feel like a personal failure. You want to trace the lines back from your present-day behaviors to the past experiences that shaped them. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about comprehension. It's the difference between seeing a scar and knowing how you got it. The scar might have made the skin tougher in that spot, but understanding the wound allows you to care for the whole body. You sense that this financial intelligence you carry, this traumatic intelligence, is a powerful tool, but it's also a heavy one. It has kept you safe, but it may also have kept you from feeling truly at ease. And so you wonder, what do I do with this now? How do I honor the protection it offered without being forever imprisoned by its rules? This is the pivotal moment. Recognizing these 10 signs isn't about diagnosing a problem. It's about acknowledging an adaptation. You developed a sophisticated internal risk management system because at one time you needed it to navigate an environment of uncertainty. That system works. It has likely saved you from countless pitfalls. But the mind, once wired for threat, can struggle to recalibrate when the threat has passed or changed. The alarm bell installed during a siege can keep ringing long after the castle gates are secure. So the work ahead, if you choose it, isn't about dismantling this intelligence. It's about integrating it. It's about thanking that vigilant part of you for its service and then gently asking, can we stand down just a little? Can we allow for a small, calculated risk that isn't life or death? Can we differentiate between a real storm on the horizon and just a cloudy day? It's about teaching yourself that some financial decisions can be about joy, not just survival, that depending on a trustworthy person isn't always a weakness. That rest isn't a reward for finished work, but a requirement for sustainable work. This intelligence is rare. It sees depths others miss. It plans with a clarity born of necessity. The goal is not to lose that power, but to become its master, not its perpetual servant. To use its strengths, the foresight, the discipline, the resilience, while slowly, carefully softening its edges. To build a relationship with money that includes safety, but also includes space. Space for breath, for trust, for occasional and guilt-free joy. If this journey resonates with you, you're already on the path. Just by understanding these patterns, you've begun the process of integrating your story. If you want to continue exploring this kind of emotional and financial psychology, this channel is a space for that. Consider subscribing and tapping that notification bell. It's a simple way to ensure we can keep having these conversations, to help you write the next chapter of your story with more awareness, and perhaps a little more peace.